Hi, welcome to A Job of Choice After Law School, the video series. In this series, we're going to pose some interview questions and then we'll answer them. If you like what you see, please go to our website where you can read a whole lot more about getting a job of choice after law school.
Conflicts in the workplace are common. Do you have a methodology to resolve conflict in the workplace? So, what do you think?
I suppose a conventional answer to this one is going to talk about doing what you can to maintain dialogue, trying to reach a compromise, and certainly up to a point that's right. But I'd say it's probably only part of the answer. Remember, you're trying to wake up the recruiter, so you're looking to give a really novel answer. The first methodology, and this is an obvious one, but it is to try and actually not let a conflict start in the first place. Lawyers, by their personalities and by the nature of the work they do, are kind of primed for contention. So if you can look for a way to avoid a conflict environment from the outset, that's very effective. But of course, that's not always going to be possible. So the second methodology, I would say, is have an escape route. And by that I mean try to get the other party, if you can, to outline their needs in detail and then explain how what they're saying is the solution or their demand will actually solve their problem. And the reason I say that is often once you actually frame the problem or the argument, the solution falls out from that. But then the counter to that that's important, and this is the third methodology, is that you yourself explain your bottom line, your must-haves, and that then forces the other person, hopefully, to find a creative solution that balances both interests. The fourth one is, if you can avoid high levels of emotion, that sort of will inevitably derail an effective negotiation. Then the last one I would say is, if you can, do it face to face. Avoid trying to negotiate over the phone or by email or video conference. Inevitably, that kind of distance, disconnection creates an invitation for perhaps bad behaviour, and it also means it's hard to read one another's signals, which is not a good thing for a resolution.
So that's a lot of methodologies to absorb, is it not?
Look, it is, but hopefully it's also just sort of well thought through common sense. And you remember, you're really trying to impress the recruiters with your capacity to be novel, to think on your feet, to communicate effectively. And as we said at the outset, a single line response won't do the trick.
So let's say our student put this into practice.
Conflicts in the workplace are common. Tell us, do you have a methodology to resolve conflict in the workplace?
Actually, I have 5 methodologies that have worked for me in most situations. My first is that it's better to not have a conflict at all. Getting your own way is stock in trade of some lawyers, so it's not surprising to find a colleague who tries to bulldoze you without regard to the consequences. My point is that it's not in the best interests of the firm to react to every slight by getting caught up in an unnecessary conflict. Another methodology I've used is to ask the other person to explain how they reach their conclusion. My objective is to force the other person to articulate the logic of their position, which has the double benefit of making a silly argument sound silly and allowing me the opportunity to find some alternative creative solution. A third methodology is to outline my bottom line, which usually forces the other party to look for a creative compromise. As long as they believe it's non-negotiable, most people will find a compromise. A fourth methodology that I've employed is to control the pacing and scope of language. The objective there is to prevent the escalation of the argument into a full-blown dispute because of the vehemence of the other person's choice of words. And finally, I prefer all contentious negotiations to be done face-to-face. Emails and telephone calls allow some people to be harsh and unyielding, but when they're face-to-face, people are generally far more reasonable. And it's probably more than you expected, but it explains my methodologies that I've used to resolve conflict in the workplace.